Welcome students, this is chapter number 7, Control and Coordination of Grade 10 Science, and this is part 1 of chapter number 7. So as the chapter only suggests control and coordination, now why should there be a control and in any of the mechanism that is going on in our body? All living organisms respond and react to changes in the environment around them. Whatever changes are going surrounding us, when we feel cold we cover ourselves, when we feel hot we will try to on our AC, or we will try to move out from the scorching heat region. So why we are doing it? That is our how we are coping with a current situation, how our body is responding. So why our body responds? Our body responds because we are getting a message from some place that we have to move from a hotter place to a colder place, like that. The changes in the environment to which the organism respond and react is called the stimuli. The stimuli example can be light, heat, cold, sound, smell, touch, etc. All the kinds of stimuli. Now both the plants and animals, both of them respond to stimuli, but the response of plants and animals are different. There are certain systems which control and coordinate in animals. Now the nervous tissue and it is this control and coordination is mainly done by the nervous tissue and the endocrine system. The nervous system and the endocrine system. Now first we will be learning about the nervous system in animals. This is a structure of neuron. Neuron is a one unit or one particular cell of the nervous tissue. We already know that many cells combine together to form a tissue. So this is a single cell of a nervous tissue. This single cell is known as neuron. The nervous tissue control and coordination are provided by the nervous and the muscular tissues. This nervous tissue is made up of an organized network of nerve cells or neurons. This particular one unit of a nerve cell is known as neuron, which is specialized in conducting information with the help of electrical impulses from one part of our body to another. Now, in our body, there are certain receptors. These receptors receive the signals and detect the information from the environment. These receptors are located in the certain organs of our body: ear, eyes, skin, nose, tongue. We have 5 sensory organs, so all these receptors are present in the 5 sense organs. The receptors in the ear are known as phonoreceptors. They receive the sound. It helps in hearing and maintaining the balance of body. The second receptor is located in the eye. It acts as a photoreceptors which helps in receiving the light. It helps us in seeing the objects. Third is the skin, which act as a thermoreceptors. This thermoreceptors helps us to feel the temperature. It helps in feeling heat or cold and touch. The fourth receptor is the nose. It acts as an olfactory receptor which helps in detection of the smell. The fifth one is a tongue, which acts as a gustatory receptors. It helps in detection of the taste. Now let us come to the structure of neuron. Neuron is a structural and functional unit of a nervous system. It has different parts known as the nucleus, dendrite, cell body, axon, and the nerve endings. The information from the receptor is acquired at the end of this dendritic tip of a nerve cell in the form of chemical reactions, and these chemical reactions are converted into electrical impulse. Now this electrical impulse travels from the dendrite to the cell body and then at the end of the axon. At the end of the nerve endings, these chemicals are released and by the effect of electrical impulse. These signals, these chemicals cross the gap between the first neuron and the second neuron, and it will be received as an electrical impulse in the dendrite of the next neuron. As I told you, there is a gap between two neurons. The gap between two neurons is known as synapse. As soon as the one neuron ends at the nerve ending, it will again be attached with the dendrite of the second neuron. So, the similar synapse finally allows delivery of the such impulses from neuron to other cells. And which are the other cells? From the neurons, it is passed on to the muscle cells or the glands. Now, as I told you, these are the parts of the neurons. The dendrite part acquires the information, the cell body, the information acquired by the dendrite travels as an electrical impulse through the cell body. The axon is known as the longest fiber of the cell body. It transmits electrical impulse from the cell body to dendrite of the next neuron. Now, the synapse is the gap between the nerve ending of one neuron and dendrite of the other neuron. Here, the electrical signal is converted into chemical signal for onward transmission. Why this electrical signal is converted into chemical signals? Because there is a gap known as a synapse between two neuron units. Now, next is the reflex action. Reflex action is a quick, sudden and immediate response of the body to a stimulus. Example, knee-jerk withdrawal of our hand, touching hot objects. All these are examples of reflex actions. Now, stimulus means stimuli and stimulus. Stimulus is observable or detectable change in the external or internal environment to which an organism reacts. This is the pathway of reflex action. This pathway of the reflex action is known as a reflex arc. First, I suppose we are taking heat as a receptor. Heat, we are sensing the heat. It will receive the stimulus will observe it, detect it, and it will pass on the information to the skin. In skin we have certain receptors. In skin we have thigmoreceptors. It will pass on the message to the spinal organ. In the spinal organ there are effector organs. It will pass on the message to the muscles, and the muscles will respond and help give the information to our hands to withdraw the hand. This is also the reflex arc. Response, it is a final action after the reflex action. There are three types of responses: voluntary, controlled by our forebrain. Writing, talking, etc. are the examples of voluntary responses. Next, we have involuntary responses. Involuntary responses are controlled by mid and the hindbrain. For example, the heartbeat, vomiting, respiration, etc. are the examples of involuntary responses. The third one is a reflex action, which is controlled by the spinal cord. The withdrawal of our hand on touching a hot object is the example of reflex action. Now, what is the need of reflex action? In some situations, such as touching a hot object, pinching, etc., we need to act quickly. Otherwise, our body would be harmed. Now, here the response is generated from the spinal cord instead of the brain, because if the message is passed to the brain, it will take a few more time to the information to pass to the muscles and the muscle to react. So that's why when there should be a quick response, the spinal cord will react and it will pass on the message to the muscles that what you have to do at this particular situation. So that taking this action will reduce and save us from the injury. Now next is the human brain. This is a structure of human brain. It has certain parts, several parts: cerebrum, cranium, midbrain. So first we will learn that human brain consists of two parts, that is the central nervous system, which is known as CNS, and the peripheral nervous system known as the PNS. The central nervous system consists of the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves, which arise from the brain, and the spinal nerve, which arise from the spinal cord. The human brain is divided into mainly three parts. There is a forebrain, midbrain, and the hindbrain. The forebrain is a complex or specialized part of the brain. It consists of cerebrum, the first part that you can see above. The functions of the forebrain together with all this is that it is a thinking part of the brain. It controls the voluntary actions like writing, walking. It stores the information in the form of a memory. Whatever we are doing in our daily life, it is stored in our memory, and it is stored in the forebrain, that is in the cerebrum. It receives a sensory impulse from various parts of the body and integrates it. It is a center associated with hunger. Next is the midbrain. Midbrain controls the involuntary actions such as change in the pupil size, reflex movements of the head, neck, and trunk. The functions that are going in the esophagus and everything is controlled by the midbrain. Generally, it controls the involuntary actions. The third part is the hindbrain. The hindbrain is again divided into three parts: cerebellum, medulla, and pons. Cerebellum controls posture, the way we sit, the way we are standing. Posture means our physical stamina, the physical structure, and it balances its it is precision of voluntary actions. Example, picking pen. It will help us to develop the motor skills. Okay? Whatever motor skills that we are doing, it is because of the cerebellum. Medulla controls the involuntary actions such as blood pressure, salivations, vomiting, nausea, etc. Pons control the involuntary actions, and it also regulates of the respiration. Now, the protection of the spinal cord and the brain. Protection of the brain. The brain is protected by a fluid filled balloon which acts as a shock absorber and is enclosed in the cranium, skull, or the brain box. The spinal cord is enclosed in the vertebral column. Now, how is the information passed? The information is passed by the coordination of the stimulus messages between the nervous and the muscular tissue. For taking place the voluntary actions, the brain has to send the messages to the muscles. The communication between the CNS and the other part of the body by the PNS consisting cranial nerves arise from the brain and the spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. The brain thus allows us to think and take actions based on that thinking. This is accomplished by a complex design with different parts of the brain responsible for integrating different inputs and outputs. The stimulus is received by the sense organs. The sensory nerve reaches the CNS. The information is received, processed, decision is made, and the response is generated. It is passed to the motor cells. The motor cells will reach to the muscles. Now again the muscle will shorten. The muscles have certain proteins which help in the contractile movement, and it will help to shorten the length of the muscle, and in this way the muscles will give the response. Now for the limitations of this nervous system. It is only receives the electrical impulses. Now after a certain generation, the transmission of this electrical impulse, the cells take up some time to reset its mechanism before transmitting another impulse. So cells cannot continuously create and transmit impulse. Now plants do not have nervous system, so how they are going to transmit this information? Now next is coordination in plants. There are two types of movements in plants, that is independent of growth, and dependent of growth. Independent of growth has immediate response to the stimulus. The plants use a chemical means to convey information from cell to cell. For movement to happen, the cells change their shape, size by changing the amount of water present in them, that is by swelling or shrinking of the cells. So the drooping and of the leaves of touch-me-not plant is also because of this touching. Now dependent on growth, these movements are tropic movements. Tropic movements, that is directional response to the stimulus. Next is the hormones in animals. Hormones in animals are the chemical substances which coordinate the activities of living organisms and also their growth. There are endocrine glands, the glands that secrete the hormones into the blood and main organ for releasing the hormones. The list of endocrine glands with the hormones are mentioned in this diagram. Thyroxine, this is a hormone secreted by thyroid. The thyroid is located in the neck or throat region. It regulates the metabolism of carbohydrates and fats and proteins. Growth hormone, it is secreted by the pituitary gland, that is a master gland. Pituitary gland is also known as a master gland. This gland is located in the midbrain and it regulates growth and development. The adrenaline gland, it is secreted by the adrenal. Adrenal gland is located above both the kidneys. It regulates the blood pressure, increasing heartbeat, carbohydrate metabolism during emergency. Next is the insulin. This hormone is secreted from the pancreas. The pancreas is located below the stomach and it reduces and regulates blood sugar level. Next is sex hormones. The sex hormones in males and females are different. Testosterone is present in males, is a hormone present in males which is secreted by the testes. The testis is located in the genital area. It changes associated with puberty. Estrogen is found in females. The female hormones are secreted by ovaries. The ovaries are located in lower abdomen area. It changes associated with the puberty. Other than this, in the female, there is one more hormone that is secreted named as progesterone. This hormone is secreted only when a woman is pregnant. During the 9 months of pregnancy, the body of a human, of a female body will secrete this progesterone hormone, and this estrogen hormone will not be secreted at all during this 9 months. After the delivery, again the estrogen hormones will start to be secreted, and the progesterone hormones will be secretions will be stopped. Now, what is the importance of iodine in the diet? Iodine salt is necessary because iodine mineral is essential part of thyroxine hormone that is secreted by thyroid gland. Thyroxine regulates the metabolism of carbohydrate, fats and proteins. So we must consume iodized salt, which is necessary for proper working of the thyroid gland. Its deficiency causes a disease called goiter. Goiter, you would have seen the swelling of the neck or throat. Diabetes is a disease in which the blood sugar level increases. Now, causes of diabetes are because of the deficiency of the hormone secreted from the pancreas. The name of the hormone is insulin. This insulin hormone is responsible for the control of blood sugar levels. Diabetes can be treated with the help of injections of insulin. Now, what is the feedback mechanism? The mechanism excess or deficiency of hormones has a harmful effect on our body. The feedback mechanism makes sure that hormones should be secreted in a precise quantity and at the right time. For example, to control the sugar level in the blood rises. When we eat any kind of sweet food, the sugar level in the blood rises. If feedback mechanism is not working, then it will not be detected by the pancreas. It will not synthesize the insulin. The blood sugar level will not fall, and the same situation arises when the sugar level will be increased and it will be started to be secreting from the pancreas. Thank you.